Hello and welcome to Salty About Health. My name is Dalaney Algier, and I'm here with my mom and co-host, Mary. So, Mom, why are we salty about health?
Good question. It's because both of us have had struggles, some more serious than others, and no one showed us simple ways we could jump into the driver's seat and take control.
And why are we sharing our views with our listeners?
Well, because we want our listeners to realize that it may take time, but with some simple knowledge about health, they'll be able to make a few changes and dig deeper to take control of their well-being and live a more vibrant life.
That's fantastic. But right now, before we get into all of that, we just need to do some housekeeping. Here we go. This is an opinion-based podcast. This is not in any way offered as a diagnosis or treatment for any disease, illness, or infirmity for physical or mental condition or any other condition you may have. We are not doctors or practitioners of any kind. Persons needing medical care should obtain it from a medical practitioner. So, consult your practitioner before making any health decision. The opinions offered here in this podcast are ours alone. Again, we're not doctors, and the banter you're going to be listening to is our view and our view alone. Okay, that's done. We, of course, also want to have an open dialogue with our listeners. So stay tuned to the end of the episode, and we'll let you know all of the ways that we can connect. Welcome, everyone. We are happy to have you back for episode 25. We're going to talk about something today that may seem counterintuitive to you. That's because those listeners who deal with acid indigestion often feel it is because they have too much acid in their stomach. But here's the kicker. You may actually have too little acid in your stomach. What? How does that make sense, Mom?
Right, Dalaney? Most people do think that they have too much acid in their stomachs, when a lot of time it is actually too little. Most people think that their indigestion is caused by too much acid, what we call acid indigestion, when the symptoms are actually the opposite, too little hydrochloric acid in their stomachs. So I found an excellent article at drjockers.com where we're going to pull a lot of this information from to inform our listeners. Of course, the article is posted in the show notes if you are curious and want to read the whole article, and I encourage you to check it out. Before we start, let me tell the listeners that low acid in the stomach is a condition when HCl is low, and that's going to be how we refer to the hydrochloric acid, HCl. So this in turn causes poor digestive motility and sphincter activity. This allows food contents to sit in the stomach and be metabolized by bacteria that are able to survive due to lack of stomach acid. The result of this bacterial fermentation can cause a lot of symptoms.
And this is bringing back a lot of memories for me because I'd like to point out that in 7th grade, I did a whole science fair project on HCl.
I think we still have that in the basement.
I was like, Mom could probably whip that out, my little poster board, the trifold boards, which they probably don't even do anymore. It's probably all virtual, but anyways.
Yes, I do have that actually, and I will give it to you next time you're here.
No, that's okay. I don't know why we still have it, but anyways, let's talk about some of the symptoms of this bacterial fermentation with our listeners.
Okay, perfect. Right. So we're going to talk about what the signs and symptoms you have if you have low stomach acid production.
Okay, so first of all, there can be gas and belching. So with low HCl, this usually comes on shortly after a meal, within 60 minutes. And this is a perfect segue into my story about my friend's brother. So he had dinner with his girlfriend and then was feeling a lot of pain in his lower chest and didn't understand what was happening. they have doctors in the family. So he actually called them up and was like, is this just like, acid reflux, indigestion kind of stuff or something else? For him, they're like, maybe go to the emergency room. So what happened is that he had food stuck in his esophagus and his stomach acid was trying to get it out. So I guess when it's stuck like that, I guess with the belching and everything, like, so he was actually kind of dry heaving. So his stomach acid was trying to come up and get rid of that stuck food. Because, right, that's what your stomach acid does, is it's breaking down your food. But it couldn't do it.
It probably had blocked something at it couldn't. Yeah. It was stuck,
it was blocked
so
because that part of his esophagus is smaller than it's supposed to be. So he actually, so the doctors found that out. So like his body couldn't do it naturally with the acid. So the doctors had to go in there and clean it out. So it was very interesting.
Oh, wow.
And this just happens. It's super relevant. I think a scope. I think they.
Wow.
I mean, I get into the details. So
very interesting.
Yeah. So now he has to, if he eats like super solid food, he has to chew it excessively. That was the doctor's solution.
Very good, because as a health coach, that is one class I teach, that I go over with my clients, how important it is to chew your food. Most people do it like 3 bites, 3 chews, that's it. No. You should sit there and chew your food till it's liquid, and it will. You should do an experiment. Put something in your mouth and it gets
because your saliva helps just as much as that stomach acid.
Has enzymes. Yep. So that's a cool experiment, and it just like liquefies everything in your mouth. And then so acid reflux is most commonly caused by low acid and not too much acid.
And then also, if you're experiencing bloating and cramping, the gas production from the bacterial fermentation in your stomach is producing this. Again, it typically comes on within an hour of eating. And to me, it's almost like, if you have, I just had some kombucha the other day. And when I opened it, I forgot that because it is fermented. Like, that's the same thing. It's fermentation. And so it like spit up at me everywhere because I had been walking with it and then I opened it. So that's buildup. Same thing.
I have done that before with kombucha. Okay. So also chronic bad breath. This is can be due to the toxic metabolites produced through bacterial fermentation in the stomach.
And then even bad body odor, which I think Mom has talked about. She's like, oh, when I eat a cleaner diet, I don't need deodorant because I'm so cool. So that's
true. When I eat like a poor diet or poor, I don't know how to say it, but maybe meats of not as high quality or food of high quality. Yes, I do. I get really bad BO.
But sometimes the bad BO can be from poor stomach acid production, which leads to an overall microbial overgrowth throughout your body, and more microbes produce more stinky toxins. Isn't that also why, this is kind of gross, but like if you pass gas, like the same thing, it's more stinky if it's like you're eating, like the microbes can affect the smell of your fart too.
Actually, I was doing this article and I started actually for a client. I was doing something about bowel movements, and there is a site you can go to. So then I thought, well, gee, this would be a really good episode if we did one on bowel movements. So that will be coming, and you'll know why they may smell different.
Hilarious.
So undigested food in stools. This will be obvious, and it is an indication that you are not able to completely metabolize the food you are consuming.
If you have an aversion to meat, especially red meat, which is usually tougher and depends upon more HCl than other meats do.
So I found that interesting because I have clients that will say, I just don't like meat. And usually I'll ask them about their diet, and you can pretty much, I can tell an A blood type diet person now just by listening to them, what they eat, what they don't like. But this now I have something else in my toolkit to ask them, wondering how they're, if they have acid reflux or anything like that, because that can be an issue then. So if you're tired after meals, if digestive process has to work twice as hard, it will cost us a lot of energy, leaving us tired. And it takes a lot to digest a meal. So that's why they say you should not eat 3 hours before you go to bed. Because when you sleep is when you repair. And if you're just digesting, that's your body's just trying to digest the food you ate.
Yeah, so it can't repair other stuff.
Yeah.
If you feel full but still hungry, so you're full because the food is not leaving your stomach, but you're hungry because you're not absorbing the nutrients effectively, which I feel like I have felt like this before.
Yes, when we get down to the end, we'll talk about, testing your stomach acid.
Cool. Okay.
And so chronic anemia, you aren't having excessive bleeding, you are consuming enough iron in your diet or even in supplements, yet you still have a non-responsive anemia.
Which I'm curious because my new multivitamin has so much iron in it, and it got me to 1 point above being anemic, and I thought I was gonna have a little more of a jump there.
Well, you should look. I'm sure this new multivitamin has copper in it also.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't realize that they should get their copper checked if they're anemic, and well, obviously their digestion, and they should ask their doctor, because if they are on iron supplements and they're still low, a lot of time it's a copper iron imbalance.
Oh, interesting.
And people don't realize that. But copper is one of those things you need very little of.
Right.
And I think you can find it in certain nuts, etc.
Yes, you can, and I do have some copper tablets as well. Well, even they're little bitty pills.
Yes, I do, and I when I don't have that problem anymore, but I would take one maybe once a week.
Yeah.
Because you just don't need a lot of copper, but it helps tremendously if you're anemic, and that's the reason.
Gotcha.
If that's the reason.
Okay. Also, weak fingernails. So if your fingernails break, chip, or peel easily, it is a classic sign of nutrient deficiencies, especially protein, minerals, and B12. And let me tell you, my Pacifica B12 vitamin, I think it's I don't know if it was just called hair and nails or something about, I don't know, it's focus for hair and nails. Whoa. Yes. B12. So important. As soon as I started taking those gummies, my nails were like, yay.
I had a client tell me that they use something, it's quite expensive on the internet, but it's called It Works, and it worked for her hair and nails. But if you look and see the ingredients, it's basically B vitamins.
Okay. Well, then she should try your client should try the less expensive gummies from Pacifica.
If you have frequent nausea because your stomach gets full quickly, it can often trigger a nauseous reflex, low stomach acid.
Does not sound fun. Food poisoning. You may be more prone to food poisoning because the less stomach acid you are producing, the less able you will be able to sterilize the food in your stomach. Do you think that's why as a child I feel like I had food poisoning every month?
No, you didn't.
It was do you remember when we were in Germany? There was one point where I just constantly had it. I threw up a popsicle. I don't know. Anyways.
I'm not answering because I don't remember. I remember in Arizona, you had.
That was nasty.
Threw
I
up.
Apologize still.
Yes.
My hot dog.
You and you were, and I I know I'm not mean, but I rarely let you sleep in my bed, but you were really sick. You weren't feeling well, and we had gone somewhere, and yes, you threw up hot dogs with this smell that I don't think I've had a hot dog since. Thank goodness it wasn't brats. I do like brats. All the way to the bathroom, and I was scrubbing the floor at 3 a.m. and changing the sheets, and that was nasty. I do remember that one. Then when we were traveling across the United States,
Oh,
moving
that was
out
definitely
east,
the mayo sitting out in the sun.
yes, that was your grandmother and I, and we had the dog and the cat, or we had at least a cat at that time. No, we had a dog
We
too.
had both. Yeah, we had both.
Yes, and you were the only one who got the sub with this mayo on it, and oh, you were throwing up all night. Yeah, it was rough. The trip from hell. It was in Tennessee. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Anyways, if it's not just regular food poisoning, low stomach acid can also be attributed to more symptoms such as gas, diarrhea, constipation, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, autoimmunity, candida, hair loss in women, B12 deficiencies, multiple food sensitivities, acne, dry skin, and dandruff.
Yeah, I
All
find
the
that
things.
interesting.
That is your skin. I mean, I think we talked about this before. Your skin really lets you know a lot of times what's happening inside. Because your body is trying to push stuff out. So like I think, different food sensitivities or whatever, you'll start getting like arm acne and stuff, and it's just your body trying to keep up with what's happening.
Yeah, your skin is a huge detox organ.
Yeah.
There's a lot of symptoms. I mean, if you go with Eastern medicine, they look at your tongue, your eyes, your fingernails, huge indicators of a lot of deficiencies or problems.
Yeah.
So now that we've reviewed the symptoms, let's discuss then why a strong digestion is so important in preventing a lot of those symptoms. Number one, sterilizes the food. So whenever we consume food, bacteria and other microorganisms come in with the food, even if, it was cooked or pasteurized. And the stomach acid helps to neutralize the bad invaders we don't want in our system.
Mom watched Osmosis Jones, so now she has the same image as I do in her head when we talk about those invaders.
Yes, I did. That was actually a good movie. It was gross, but good.
Okay, so another reason why strong digestion is so important is protein digestion. Stomach acid is very necessary to begin the process of breaking down protein. Have you ever marinated meat in vinegar? Vinegar is not nearly as acidic as what your stomach acid should be, yet over time it degrades the meat. This is what your stomach acid should be doing in a much quicker fashion, which from my science experiment, I would like to say I have watched it work very, very quickly.
Okay, so for number 3, activating pepsin. So pepsin is a proteolytic enzyme that is necessary for our body to effectively metabolize protein. Stomach acid activates pepsin from its inactive form called pepsinogen.
It also is activating intrinsic factors. So stomach acid helps to activate intrinsic factor, which is a glycoprotein, which is any of a class of proteins that have carbohydrate groups attached to the polypeptide chain. Mom went real chemistry on us right there. This is produced in the stomach and it's necessary for vitamin B12 absorption.
Okay, so number 5, stimulating the delivery of bile and enzymes. Stomach acid helps to stimulate the release of bile from the liver and gallbladder and digestive enzymes from the pancreas.
And then closing the esophageal sphincter. So stomach acid is an important trigger for the contraction of the esophageal sphincter, which is just above your stomach, and it protects the soft, delicate tissues of the esophagus from the harsh acids in the stomach. So when that's not working, that hurts. I don't know. Have you ever, I don't know if it's maybe like coughs,
I've never,
like if you've eaten and then like it did get stuck and then you cough and then it's like a burning sensation in your throat. Is that maybe it going past there? like the acid?
I've never had that. I've
Oh, okay.
burped and I could tell you what I ate.
Ew.
But no, I've never had acid reflux.
Okay.
Heartburn, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 7, opening the pyloric sphincter. Stomach acid helps to activate the pyloric sphincter, which allows food to move from the stomach to the small intestine. So when the body is unable to produce enough stomach acid, it is unable to digest protein molecules and key minerals. These partially digested protein molecules get into the small intestine and create significant stress on the pancreas to produce adequate enzymes to metabolize the protein effectively. If this occurs repeatedly over time, it will wear down the pancreatic enzyme storage and cause stress and irritation to the intestinal lining. Additionally, if the protein molecules are not efficiently metabolized, we are unable to absorb enough amino acids, which are necessary for numerous vital functions of the body. This can lead to amino acid deficiencies, poor healing, and a breakdown of various important bodily functions.
And that's important to be aware of because the large protein molecules and incomplete digestion all work together to irritate the gut lining, and this can lead to leaky gut syndrome. And that process can trigger the development of autoimmune activity in the body. So, poor digestion also creates an environment suited for the development of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, candida overgrowth, and parasitic infections.
And we also talked in another episode what we took for SIBO. It was at the Antranville or something like that. That worked really well. Also, I don't think people realize that your gut lining, the epithelial cells are, it's just minuscule, you know, I mean, really your gut lining, what keeps in and out, you know, the bad things, it's just, I don't know, it's just so tiny,
Yeah.
you know, so when that is interrupted, it's then everything gets into your body and your bloodstream. And if you think about it, from your nose to where you have your bowel movement, it's like the outside of your body. That's not really the inside. It's like a tube that runs through.
We're giant walking tubes.
Yeah. So, and then your body has to discern what goes in and out. So if that lining is you know, disturbed in some way, then you do get a lot of symptoms and a lot of problems. And that also can lead to a lot of skin issues your body's dealing with. Like Dalaney was talking about, your skin really does say a lot about you, you know, what's going on inside. I mean, some people can just stop doing dairy and their acne just clears right up.
Yeah.
So when we digest our food poorly, it leads to increased inflammatory activity, which depletes key minerals and antioxidants throughout the body. The mineral depletion leads to an inability to form stomach acid, and the vicious cycle of poor digestion and chronic inflammation continues.
So now, Mom, let's talk about some ways that we can improve our stomach acid levels.
Okay, that's a great idea, Dalaney, because one of the most important health principles is taking time and creating rituals to improve stomach acid levels.
But first, before we do anything else, let me just say that this article states that the normal volume of the stomach acid fluid is 20 to 100 milliliters with a pH range from 1.5 to 3.5. Due to the logarithmic nature of the pH scale, there is a huge difference between a pH of 1.5 and that of 3 or 3.5. So, for healthy protein digestion, your pH needs to be around 1.5 to the 2.2 range. And that's a big jump, which is why it's so important to improve our stomach acid levels for optimal digestion.
Okay, so Here are things you can do to help improve your digestion if you have lower stomach acid levels. This can reduce stress on your digestive system and help you absorb nutrients more effectively. This will help your body have the resources it needs to produce adequate stomach acid in the future.
So, first, you can use liquid nutrition throughout the day, which my friend's brother, after his trip to the hospital, they told him to try that for a few days to let everything recover. His was obviously like a physical thing as opposed to his acid levels, but still, you may want to drink protein shake because they're pre-metabolized and very easy to digest, and they don't depend on HCl production. If you do have low HCl, a protein shake can enhance your amino acid absorption and reduce the stress on your GI system, and that'll help improve your stomach acid levels.
Okay, you can use ginger. Ginger is one of the best things for improving digestive juices. Ginger is part of a group of herbs called carminatives, and along with peppermint, anise, cardamom, and coriander. You can drink ginger tea each day. You can take a ginger capsule. I have ginger capsules. I use them for a lot of things. Or put fresh or dried ginger on your foods. And this is Dalaney's favorite. You can also consume fermented ginger, which is common in Asian dishes such as kimchi.
So good. And I think actually, I've been told, I know mom is not a fan of sushi because of the parasites, but I've been told the proper way when you eat sushi, the ginger that's there, a lot of us will put it on top of the sushi and eat it with it. It's actually there to eat after.
Oh, nice.
Which makes sense because ginger is helping your digestion. So, yes.
Let your uncle know that he loves sushi.
I will do that. But yeah, so apparently we're not supposed to put it on. You're supposed to eat it after. Another way to help your stomach acid levels is to super hydrate outside of meal times, which actually I just randomly read up on this because I was looking up exactly why our stomachs growl. So my stomach was growling really loud this morning. So that's when your body starts producing stomach acid because your brain is telling your stomach that it's hungry. So if you hydrate at those times, then water it's neutral, right? It's not basic or acidic. It's like right in the middle of the pH scale, right?
Unless you put something in it like
right.
lemon
So just
or
like regular
wine.
water. Yeah. So it kind of like fights against the acidity of your stomach acid. So they say not to drink a ton of water with meals because then it affects your stomach acid. Anyways, this is saying, to super hydrate outside of meal times. So your optimal hydration is essential because especially important if you have low stomach acid. So good hydration does help activate your bowel mobility and push contents through the digestive system, which reduces microbial fermentation and toxicity in the body. So yes, water is absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I talked to my doctor about that with like bowel movement stuff. It's essential with that and fiber to, get everything to get out of your bowels.
So I like it. You don't listen to your mother when she tells you to drink.
No, I know you've
don't
told
drink
me
enough
that.
water, but you'll listen to your doctor. I love it. But all moms understand what I'm going through right now.
No, she was affirming what I already knew because of you.
Good save. And what Dalaney just said, is talking about drinking with meals. And you want to drink very little with meat containing meals. Anytime you're going to have meat or any sort of heavy food, you should cut off drinking water at least 30 minutes before the meal, apart from perhaps 2 ounces for taking a supplement if you need your supplements. This will reduce any potential dilution of the gastric juices and allow for better digestion.
There you go.
And
you
when
said it so much better there.
And when we were little,
Mm-hmm.
your grandparents went away and we had this lady stay with us. She was an older lady and she was trying to deal with 3 young kids, like second and third and fourth grade. And so she would not let us drink with meals. And we thought
Huh.
she was crazy. We couldn't understand it. But way back then, yes, the wisdom that she had, and she would not let us drink anything with meals. We thought she
Wow.
was being so mean to us, but see, she was actually trying to help us.
She was. And to continue with the water, also holding off on water after a meal. This allows for optimal digestion, and it's recommended to abstain from water or liquids until at least 30 minutes after a meal. It allows proper stomach acid activity, sterilization, protein metabolism, etc.
Okay, and the use of lemon and apple cider vinegar. So, squeezing fresh lemon or using lemon juice or apple cider vinegar on your meat and veggies helps to pre-metabolize the food. This allows for better digestion and nutrient absorption. You can either marinate foods in lemon or apple cider vinegar base, or just add them as a dressing right before you consume them.
Which my favorite German pork dish does that. They give you a lemon wedge to squeeze over it before you eat it. Who
Is
knew?
that schnitzel?
Yeah.
Guess what I was just doing?
Did you have schnitzel? Oh,
No.
I got really upset.
When I get together with your grandmother to go see that play this weekend, we're going to a German restaurant. And I looked at the menu and I was thinking of you. I said, oh, that's Delaney's favorite dish.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I'll text you some pictures.
Gee, thanks. Another thing is eat protein foods at the beginning of your meal. So the stomach will begin churning out its stomach acid when you begin eating, especially when you're consuming protein. And it's very common for people to eat a salad before their protein dish, but this doesn't work very well for your HCl production. It's a much better idea to eat your protein with the salad or veggies.
Use fermented veggies. Fermented
Yes.
foods such as sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, pickled ginger, etc., all contain organic acids, enzymes, and probiotics, which help to improve digestive juice secretions. And it is recommended to use one of these with all of your heavier meals, and especially any meal with protein. And when you travel to Germany or a lot of other countries all have a fermented vegetable that they're known for, and they do eat them with their food.
Yeah. It's like if you go do Korean barbecue, it's all, it's like meat. Like you can order some veggies to also fry at the table or like cook at the table, but they always have kimchi there. So I feel like that's like, they have the fermented veggies because you're just eating a bunch of meat.
Yes. And then in the Orient, they also have natto, things like that. So I think Americans are the only ones who are not used to having that with their meals.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I guess different parts of the country you probably could say have like different fermented foods because like parts of the country, like in the Midwest, where a lot of European, like Germanic people settled, they still eat sauerkraut.
Yes,
Like
but it has to be, well, it should be raw and kept in the fridge.
Yeah.
Because if you get the stuff out of the can, it's pretty much doesn't have anything. It tastes good, okay. But it's pretty much useless.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. So go for the stuff in the fridge section.
Yes. You can also use fermented drinks such as apple cider vinegar, which is like our wonder food of the month. I feel like we just keep talking about how great it is. Coconut water, which I don't like. It gives me a violent reaction, so I don't like it. Kefir and lemon water, which obviously is not fermented. And then all of these contain organic acids that have an antimicrobial effect. So these help to reduce the bacterial load, especially the bacteria in the stomach, such as H. pylori. Keeping H. pylori levels down is important for the body to be able to produce enough stomach acid.
Okay, so eat your largest meal when you are most relaxed. In order to produce adequate stomach acid, your body needs to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. If you are busy and on the go, you will be in fight or flight mode, which is a sympathetic. If you struggle with low stomach acid, this is not going to allow you to produce anywhere near enough. Relaxing before the meal is key to improve stomach acid production. And ever since I became certified in health coaching, I will sit down and eat. I don't rush around or eat standing up. I always just take that time and sit and relax and eat.
Cool. So now I'm sure everyone, I know I am, are wondering how we can figure out our stomach acid levels. So, Mom, let's tell them about the baking soda stomach acid test that they can do at home to see if they have sufficient stomach acid. This can be fun, but we advise against it if you have any health issues like kidney disease, etc., and suggest you ask your practitioner first.
Okay, so there's a simple test you can do at your house in order to see if you have enough stomach acid. This involves drinking baking soda in order to create a unique chemical reaction within your stomach. This reaction happens when the OH negative ions, which is one hydrogen and one oxygen atom of the baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, and the hydrogen ions within the hydrochloric acid in your stomach. This should naturally result in carbon dioxide gas production and a resulting burping effect.
Woo, fizzy lifting drink is what it sounds like. This test is easy. However, the test isn't without its flaws. There are many variables that go uncontrolled in this experiment. To minimize extraneous variables, it's recommended to perform the test on 3 consecutive mornings in order to find an overall average, which with any statistics, I found out as soon as you have like 3 test samples, you've kind of like reached the max of, the norm, I guess, of what's going to be the average.
So you're going to do this and put it on the website, right? In the notes so people can see what your reaction was?
Oh my gosh. Sure.
So with this method, you are looking for a pattern of results instead of a one-time yes or no. Also, to improve the accuracy, it is important to do the test first thing in the morning before eating or drinking anything else.
Okay, so here's how we do this because I love directions. You mix 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda into 4 to 6 ounces of cold water in the morning before eating or drinking anything. Drink the baking soda solution down. Time how long it takes for you to burp or belch. All of us on our phones has a stopwatch option, so if you want to get real accurate, you can click it. Keep time for about 5 minutes. If you have not burped or belched, which burps and belches are different, I would like to point that out too.
That I didn't know.
Just belches are gross sounding. Anyways,
that's what guys do. They go.
Yeah. I have a friend, she can do it on command. It's kind of gross.
Okay, cool.
So within that 5-minute time, if you haven't burped or belched, you have insufficient stomach acid production. Early and repeated belching may be due to excessive stomach acid, but don't confuse these with little small burps from swallowing air when drinking the solution. And any belching after 3 minutes is an indication of low stomach acid production.
Okay, now we have another test you may want to try. It is Betaine challenge test. So it is a very reliable test you can perform if you have the symptoms above and failed the baking soda test. So if you think you have low HCl,
Mhm.
this would be good.
Okay.
You will need to buy a bottle of betaine HCl, and they Vitamin Shop, everyone sells it,
Okay.
which you may need anyway to help you restore your HCl levels if they are truly low. Most stores, again, carry this. To perform the test, do the following: buy some betaine HCl with Pepsin, eat a high protein meal of at least 6 ounces of meat. You can have veggies too. In the middle of the meal, never at the beginning, take one betaine HCl pill. Finish the meal and observe what you notice, which this is the one thing I learned from this article.
Mhm.
I used to take the HCl at the beginning of
Oh,
the meal, and I didn't realize that you should take it in the middle or at the end, and it makes a huge difference.
cool. Okay. So here are some of the possible outcomes from this test. One, you don't notice anything. So if you don't notice any difference, it is most likely that you have low stomach acid levels. But two, you notice indigestion. So if you notice a burning, hotness, or heaviness in your chest, then these are signs you have adequate stomach acid levels. It is best to do this test 2 to 3 times in order to make sure you aren't getting a false positive. There are 3 main reasons for someone getting a possible false positive. First of all, they may not have consumed enough protein. So, if it is a relatively low protein meal, you won't need much HCl, and therefore the supplement can cause too much of an increase. If you took the capsule before the meal, this will almost always cause indigestion as your body isn't ready for the supplement. If you have an esophageal sphincter dysfunction, for some individuals, they may have a hiatal hernia or poor contractile activity of the esophageal sphincter that can cause an increase in indigestion like symptoms. So it's always good to get a medical exam to rule these things out before doing the test if possible. So, with all that, after getting 2 to 3 positive tests in a row, you may want to begin using the HCl supplement with high protein meals, along with doing the things that we mentioned earlier for ways to improve your stomach acid levels.
Okay, what we do want to caution you that if you are taking any sort of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, medication such as, ibuprofen, Tylenol, or aspirin, do not take HCl.
So, if you don't suffer from acid indigestion, but you still want to do the experiment, because why not? Take one capsule during or after the meal and see if you notice a mild burning sensation in your stomach or chest area. This is a mild exercise of indigestion or heartburn. When you notice this with one capsule of HCl, it is a sign you're producing enough. If not, you're not producing enough HCl. At another high protein meal, maybe try taking 2 capsules during or after the meal and continue this until you find how many tablets it takes to introduce that indigestion or heartburn. So, if it's 4 capsules inducing indigestion, then start taking 3 capsules with your larger protein meals. Obviously, not protein shakes or broth, because again, we talked about how those are already mostly broken down, but only meals with meat and protein. And once you begin feeling indigestion with 3 capsules, then you can drop it down to 2 and so on.
If you do suffer from acid reflux and want to try this experiment, the article states that you should not take any antacids or acid reflux meds you may be taking and try the experiment Dalaney just went over. So again, take one capsule during or directly after a protein heavy meal and see if you do not have the indigestion. If you continue to have indigestion, then continue with 2 caps and continue this process until you find the amount you need in order not to have indigestion. Continue to use this amount until you notice you have indigestion again. And then when you do, drop your dosage down by 1 capsule for the next meal. Of course, if you have acid reflux due to any other medical condition, this probably won't help you. I encourage people to experiment with the HCl because when you improve your stomach acid levels, it makes a huge difference on your overall health and quality of life. And as we just stated, a lot of people who have acid reflux, it's actually because they don't have enough acid in their stomach. So it's always a good test. And one other note before we depart, if you take the betaine HCl tablets and you notice burning bowel movements,
Oh my gosh.
that can indicate you're taking too many also.
Ouch. Hopefully none of our listeners have that side effect. Well, thanks everyone for listening. And again, we want to hear from you guys. We always want to hear from you guys. Please, please, please reach out to us. And here are just a few ways that you can do that. You can reach out via Instagram and Facebook. Find us at Salty About Health. Even Snapchat at Salty Health. You can email us at saltyabouthealth@gmail.com. Or if you just want to find all that in one place, check out our website, saltyabouthealth.com. We've got all the ways for you to listen and connect there. And finally, if you like what you hear today, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. We really appreciate it. So, Mom, if they want to hear from you on social media, where can they find you?
Okay, I am a certified health coach and I do coach one-on-one. So if you're interested, you can contact me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com. I also do research for people who are interested in finding alternative approaches to do in conjunction with the health issue or illness their doctor is treating them for. So again, just reach out to me at mary@feedyourselfhealthy.com or follow me on Twitter at feedyourselfhealthy, which is spelled FEEDURSELFHLTHY. That's where they can find me.
Cool. Okay. And if you guys want to find me, I'm not a health coach, but I'm on Instagram hanging out there at Dalaney.a. Find out how to spell my name in the show notes and everything. And of course, I'll be the one mainly keeping an eye on the social media. So always happy to chat with you guys via the Salty Network. Also, just want to shout out our intro and outro music. It is by Yule. And you can find her at www.yulearts.com. That's EULARTS. You can also find her on Instagram at Yule_arts or Spotify and YouTube. Check her out. Her piano music and everything else is amazing. And until next time, stay salty.
Stay salty.